Yeah. Hey, I know, Christian, you don't like to talk about yourself, but real quickly, kind of two-part. A, you play your 353rd game for the Sounders. That's obviously an accomplishment. Wonder if you could talk about that. And then what was working? What was it that Paul and Georgie were able to do to down on the flanks there? Because it looked like they got passes and they were penetrating the defense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a huge accomplishment, I think, uh, to to any professional to be able to play that many games and to be able to do it for one club is even more special. I'm blessed to be able to share a locker room with a great group of guys and be able to lead this team. But yeah, I'm extremely thankful to be able to play to stay healthy for that long. So just kudos to everybody that has helped me along the process. In terms of the game, I think out wide certainly. These guys are 1v1 dribblers, Georgie, Paul. I think what we lacked was movement in behind, movement in the box. Our final third product, those are things that are always difficult against a really low block in a 5-4-1. So, it's one of those games where it's unfortunate that we get scored on, and we have to move on pretty fast. It's been a tough stretch, and again, move on. We feel like we've played a decent game, but unfortunate result.
All right, next question. We're going to go to Jeremiah O'Shan. And Jeremiah, before you ask your questions, just a reminder to all media, if you do have your own questions, please hit that raise hand function button. Jeremiah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I guess Paul, if you could kind of build on a little bit of what Christian said about this being a tough week and sort of how you regroup and sort of and just move on.
Yeah, I think a lot of challenges this week. It's tough losing some guys, some important pieces for us. I think that was a tough blow for all of us. Losing Paul for the year, and obviously Jordan and Peppo as well. That being said, I think we all had a good mentality going into this game. We felt good about the group that we put out there tonight, and I think conceding early really hurt us, in an environment like that. And they were able to then just sit in their back five, sit in that low block, mid block the whole game. It's hard to break down. And yeah, I think we all feel confident that the results are going to come the way we're playing. I think we're learning a lot early in these games. We're getting better as the games progress, picking up concepts quickly. And, I have no doubt that the results are gonna start coming. It's early days, and we've got to just keep building and move on to the next one. And it's nice to get a few days off. We haven't had that in a long time, so guys can get rested and get ready to go for Houston next week.
All right, don't see any other first-time questions. So if you have one, please hit that raise hand function button. Maz, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, sure. Guys,
Go ahead.
either one of you can take this. Every soccer game has emotions, but this one just seemed, and again, the preface of move, what you had coming into the game, but from the goal and then penalty, not penalty. Has to be is it one of those emotional games that you all can remember?
I think that sure.
Sorry,
Uh, no, not necessarily. Emotional games are when you concede, for us at least, when you concede last minute, or you struggle with uh, uh, playing good football, and then all of a sudden you're in a game and then lose it, or you play extremely, extremely well where you don't deserve to lose the game, and all of a sudden you lose it, right? I think today it was unfortunate. It was one of those where you don't concede too many chances in the first half. They score off a set piece, off Jackson slipping, um, it's just one of those days. I think that you played it, you forget it, you move on, and you're better. Obviously, you look at what we did well and bad, but you move on and prepare for Houston.
Thanks.
George, I see you raise your hand. Thanks for the question. I'm going to bring you off mute so you can go ahead and ask it. Should be good.
Hey, so I wanted to know how it's going to be to face Nicolo Dado playing for the wrong team next weekend. How are you guys going to receive him outside of the game and then inside of the game?
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be weird for us and Nico, probably, the guy who's played so many games for our club and is a good friend of a lot of us. And I think it'll be a fun game. Houston, we've obviously had a lot of history with those guys, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Nico as well. So that'll be an interesting test for both of us emotionally, and we know how Nico likes to play as well, so I guess that helps us a little bit. But excited to see him as well.
All right, next question. We'll go to Scott Hansen from the Times. Scott, go for it, please.
Yeah, I was just curious if you guys had ever had a situation where a penalty kick was awarded and then reversed because of a handball before that. You ever seen that happen before?
Yeah, I think it's happened to us a few times. Frustrating, nonetheless. I think every time you get something called back is disappointing. It's one of those things where you don't have much control over. It's unfortunate with Obed not being able to move his hand out of the way. It is in a natural position, but it's the way the game is called these days, and unfortunate. But there were a lot of things that we could have done better before that that could have resulted in a better result for us.
Thank you.
Jeremiah, did you have a follow-up, or is that just a holdover?
No, I'll ask another question.
Go for it.
Cristian, take us inside a little bit what this week was like. You guys get back from Mexico. Brian is out sick. You get this news about the various injuries. I don't know what was going on. What were the conversations you guys had to sort of try to keep focused?
Well, I think that these last 3 weeks or so have been. It wasn't like just this last week. It was the last 3 weeks. We haven't really been able to train. Because we have so many games. You have to recover. You have to travel. I don't think people realize what we have to do as professionals to prepare for these games. And obviously, we're not trying to make any excuses, but you travel from Salt Lake, 2-3 days later, you're playing against LAFC with a whole different squad, or the Antigua, and then you're playing, LAFC, and then you're playing Cruz Azul, and it becomes disjointed because you're not able to train, you're not able to work on the things that we could have done better. You have to rely on film. You have to recover. Injuries happen. We're trying to put our best foot forward in Champions League and be able to compete in leagues play as well. It's difficult. It's difficult to manage as a coach. It's difficult as players to be able to continue forward, and that's why we feel that we're going to be all right, because we haven't been able to have a regular week of training, and we're having some good play, but we're struggling with results. And I think that was something that we struggled with last year at the beginning of the year. And so hopefully those things get corrected, and the final third movements help us in the long run.